media and the public a brief on a weekly basis. However, if there's any further clarification that will be required, the office will be more than willing to be able to assist. So for today, I think we had indicated that we're going to be doing a rapid results initiative for purposes of revenue collection and enhancement. I'm glad to state that on average, the streams that have already been touched on, we've seen a revenue increase of about 70% without necessarily saying that we have to tax people further. And what that means is that efficiency is the key word in this. As we were going, we have noticed that people need to identify who are the people that are going to be in charge for this revenue purposes. And for that matter, for now, two gentlemen who are here, the people who are actually going to be on the roads are not necessarily these ones, but they're only, we've requested them. They'll be branded with a reflector. They'll be branded with a T-shirt inside that is why don't you just open? It's branded. This is a revenue enhancement unit. Then over and above that, this is going to be, they're all going to have tags that are going to have a barcode. A barcode, anyone with a smartphone, you can be able to immediately scan, and after you've already been able to scan on this barcode here, it will be able to confirm whether this person is a genuine person or not. So far, the areas that we are going to be touching on, we've already done with the CES. From Wednesday, the parking units, and equally from tomorrow, we're going to start with the markets, but this will now be with the Kongowea market. And the reason is obvious. We feel strongly, rather I feel, Inspectorate has done a beautiful job, a very, very excellent job in terms of traffic management, traffic flow, and normal security enhancement. So we will now be redeploying those who are initially in charge of manning and collecting revenue from markets and the parking. They'll be redeployed for purposes of traffic management and equally enhancing general security within the markets. And they've done an excellent job on that. Thereafter, I want to now state as well, we had given an indication that we want to turn Mombasa into a 24-hour economy. We cannot expect private businesses to start doing that until we take charge and show by example. So I've directed that commencing Monday next week, Kongowea Market will start operating on a 24-hour basis. The lighting of Kongowea Market is currently at about 70%. We're expecting that by the end of the week we would have finalized. We're immediately embarking on enhancing the CCTVs. Equally, there is a gazetted police station inside Kongowea Market. So we are writing to the Department of Police to be able to ensure that we have the police forces inside there. We're going to be increasing the number of inspectorate officers for purposes of manning traffic and also for purposes of general security matters. Thirdly, it has also come to my attention that there's a lot of staff who are qualified to do other jobs, but they are currently placed in other departments. I have written to the Public Service Commission, who have the capacity and they have the manpower without necessarily denting the resources of the county government. And we have requested them to do a public human resource audit of the county government of Mombasa. And this human resource audit will touch on many things, including placement, including who and who should be having their promotions and when they need to be getting those particular promotions from the date at which they were hired, including as well that a possibility of reshuffling some of the current employees who are there. Equally, I want to state, on last week, Thursday, I had a meeting with those who are in the construction industry. That means the quantity surveyors, the constructors, the architects, and everyone else. And we have all agreed that all building permits will be approved within stipulated time based on law. Whatever the current law says, we will be approving those permits within that stipulated time. They have requested that we do a proper sensitization on this for every single person. The meeting that we had last week was for about 16 individuals. So this one is going to be on Thursday. It will be an open forum for everyone. We have the database of everyone who has ever applied for them to be able to come. The way it is going to be is approvals will be done with minimal involvement of necessarily a person saying that, you know, they have to go and see so-and-so for them to get approvals. Everything will be done online with minimal human contact as much as possible. On the same note, we have agreed with them, and I'll be stating the teams to them. We will be doing a building audit. The building audit will be able to tackle two things. One, as much as we're going to be authorizing buildings to be done, but those buildings have to be done in accordance with law. We need to know that those buildings, the sewer system, is as the way it should be. We need to know issues like parking, refuse, and everything else. And also that the building permits, whatever it is that was paid, this building audit will be for those buildings that are currently ongoing. No one will be stopped, but it is only right for us not to go back to the same mistakes where buildings are being put all over without necessarily having access to the necessary systems like the sewer and drainage systems. And that is going to be done on Thursday this week. A venue will be communicated to those who have already been able to apply. Today afternoon, we'll be having a meeting with all elected MCAs and even those who have been nominated. Thereafter, we're also going to be meeting with the ward administrators and sub-county administrators. For the purpose of that meeting is the Solid Waste Management Act, which is in force right now as we're speaking. It is something that was passed in the last county assembly, and we intend to enforce it. It stipulates that there will be committees within different areas, and those committees will now be able to identify and agree based on community involvement where is the best place to have a transfer point. We are closing down. We do not want to hear any more of illegal dump sites within the city. And the public will be informed that between this time to this time, you will be in a position to take your garbage, or the person or group or company that you have decided to use to collect the garbage from your homestead will be able to take garbage to a certain location between this time up to this time. And that will be communicated very heavily. The same way, if we have been able to do what needs to be done, and we are striving to ensure that within the first 100 days, we retain back Mombasa's glory of being as clean as it ought to be, then this has to be collective effort. So the public as well will be informed of the punitive measures that will be there for those who decide to just throw garbage all over the place. We cannot allow it. We can't have people taking gunny bags and just throwing them in the middle of the roads. But that is something that will be discussed in detail today afternoon. So I thought just to inform the public right now that for the purposes of cess, parking and markets, those who will be in charge for revenue collection will be identified. They will be having a uniform and they'll have a tag for purposes of avoidance of doubt. With your own phone, wherever you are, as long as it is a phone with a camera, you can be able to identify that truly this person has been given the job to be able to do the revenue enhancement. The team from the inspectorate who have been doing an excellent job in traffic management and overall security enhancement. Wednesday, all the parking attendants will now be a different team, and the markets as well from tomorrow will have a different team that is going to be manning the gates, a different team that is going to be purposes of revenue enhancement, and a team that is going to ensure that we have compliance in terms of security. Nataka watu wakifanya biashara zao wafanye biashara kwa usalama na kwa amani bila ya kuweza kuwa na matatizo ya aina yoyote. Na kuanzia Jumatatu nimetoa amri, kama ni taa ziwekwe, kama ni maaskari waongezwe, lakini serikali ya kaunti ya Mombasa itakuwa ni katika mstari wa mbele kuhakikisha tuna uchumi wa masaa 24. Hatuwezi kuambia watu wa mashirika ya kibinafsi waanze wao ikiwa sisi wenyewe hatujaonesha mfano. Tutakuwa katika mstari wa mbele kuonesha baada ya soko hiyo ndio tuanze na hizi soko nyingine zote. Na vile vile nimeandika barua kwa Public Service Commission waweze kufanya human resource audit. Inamaanisha ya kwa watu wanaofanya katika baraza la Mombasa, kaunti ya Mombasa, tuwajue ni wangapi wako katika department gani, wangapi wanastahili waweze kupatiwa promotion, wangapi wanafanya kazi na zile ambazo kwamba ni qualifications zao pengine hazistahili wafanye pale, wanaweza kwenda katika department nyingine. Hayo yote tutaweza kuyafanya. Siku ya Alhamisi nitakutana na wote ambao wameweza kuapply kujenga katika jiji letu ili waoneshwe njia muafaka ya kuweza kupata approval zao bila kusema ya kwa wanaanza kupiga mafoleni katika maofisi ama lazima umjue mtu fulani na fulani. Sheria zile siku ambazo zinakubali uweze kupatiwa approval yako, sheria itafuatwa, approval zitoke kwa wakati huo. Lakini kwa wakati huo pia vile vile tumekubaliana na wale wakuu ambao ni stakeholders, na tutawaelezea wale wote wengine wote ya kwa hapa katika hili baraza nimeitisha report kujua tuna maengineer wangapi, na mimi mwenyewe pia nimeshtuka tunapata kuna wengine ni maengineer lakini mtu amepelekwa agriculture, tuna wengine ambao kwamba ni architect wamepelekwa departments nyingine. Kwa hivyo wote wale watakuwa katika ile building audit ili tuweze kurekebisha mji wetu pamoja. Kwa wale wenye kuendelea kujenga hamna atakayekuzuia, lakini wito wangu kwako mwenye kujenga, ikiwa unajenga usijaribu kuvunja sheria, iwe unajenga yale maji ambayo kwamba yenye kutoka kwa choo uweke kwa katika maji ya mvua. Maradhi yakitokea yanatokea kwa kila mtu. Mji ukinuka unanuka kwa kila mtu. Hakuna mtu ambaye kwamba atakuwa na, hatuwezi kufanya jambo jingine isipokuwa ni kulifanya liwe ni kwa pamoja. Saa 8 hii leo nitakuwa na Deputy Governor ambaye nimempatia jukumu la kuweza kuhandle lile upande wa environment wakati mimi nafanya haya mengine, na tumekubaliana tutakutana na MCA wote, na baada ya MCAs tutakutana na ward administrators tuweze kuweka zile kamati za mitaa, watu waweze kujulishwa zile taka watu wakizichukua watazipeleka wapi, na lazima tuwapatie mikakati pia vile vile. Tumetoa ahadi ya kwa katika hizi siku 100 tutaweka tenda kandarasi ambayo kwamba itakuwa ni iko wazi kwa dunia nzima kwa watu watakaoweza kutusaidia na mambo ya kusafisha zile taka, ile tunaita recycling, ili zile taka ziweze kutumika kwa mambo mengine. Nilikutana nao niliposikia ya kwa walikuwa na kile kilio, na nikaambiwa kwa wanataka kuja kuniona, nikakutana na wao na nikawaonesha sheria iko wazi. Tatizo kuu liliopo, na hii ni lazima sasa tukubaliane kama wana Mombasa sote. Haya mambo ya kusema ya kwa sheria inasema lipa shilingi 10, wewe uamue ya kwa shilingi 5 nitalipa, ama shilingi 3, shilingi 2 nyingine iende kwa huyu na shilingi 1 iende kwa huyu, hayo tutayaacha katika mji huu, na hamna bei yoyote iliyoongezwa. Kila kitu kiko vile vile. Tena mimi natoa tena uhakikisho, ikiwemo ni watu wa tuktuk na watu wa matatu, tulitoa ahadi ya kwa hizi gharama wanazolipa tutazipunguza. Finance bill chini ya uongozi wa Abdulsamad Sharif Nasser itatoka takriban kiasi ya wiki moja hivi, tutaipeleka kwa county assembly na tutaipeleka through public participation. Tutapunguza hizi bei, lakini zaidi ni lazima tuwe na compliance. Haiwezekani ya kuwa kuna wengine hatutoweza kuendeleza huu mji. We cannot have sacrificial cows, yani wengine wanaambiwa ya kwa wewe lipa, wengine hawalipi. Na nataka kutoa mfano tu kama hizi za parking, natoa mfano wa hii element moja ya tuktuk na ya matatu. Tutatoa kabisa haya mambo ya kuambia watu lazima uende Shimanzi in person, ukifika kule upatiwe approval ya kwa kweli wewe unafaa. Ukimaliza kupatiwa approval yako ya Shimanzi, unatoka unakuja hapa County Hall, upige foleni, upatiwe sticker. Kila kitu kitaenda kidijitali. Utalipa kutoka kwa simu yako, hata ikiwa umepaki mahali pale ulipo, unalipa pale pale. Kutakuwa na revenue enhancers ambao kazi yao itakuwa ni kuscan, kwa sababu ukishalipa unaweza kuichapisha katika bureau yoyote, ama hata kama hujaichapisha, wale revenue enhancers wanaweza key in ile number plate ya ile gari yako, na itajulikana ya kwa lao umelipa ama kulipa. Ikiwa tutapunguza yote haya, mambo ya fedha yapunguzwe, mambo ya kufanya kazi za watu ziwe rahisi, lakini pia tutaongeza penalties ikiwa umeamua bado kutoweza kufuata zile sheria. So we are looking at it in terms of an aggregate. Whatever it is that we were collecting, and so far this is only one stream, revenue collection from the cess points. We have seen an average. There are some days that the figures go high, but one thing is for sure, it has never been lower than what it was. So there are certain days, and we are still looking at the trends, because certain days of the week as well, where revenue collection will definitely go lower. You have to also understand that it has been like about almost about 7 days since we started these new teams. So on average, it has risen by 70%. But again, on a daily basis, figures tend, on Sundays you expect figures to go less in terms of collections. On other days, the figures go high. Like I said, the figures change on a daily basis. There are days where the figures are 500,000 shillings. There are days that figures have shot up to about 1.8 million shillings, 1.6, 1.7. So we looked at it in terms of the aggregate. The aggregate of the increase is an aggregate of about 70%. Yes. If we have ghost workers, we'll call. You asked me in English, so I'll reply you in English. Then next time you want to ask me you want an answer in Kiswahili, you will ask me in Kiswahili, sio? Sasa wewe umeniomba ya kuwa nitajaribu kufafanua Kiswahili. Umeniambia ya kwa ikiwa tumeweza kufanya na tukagundua ya kwa kuna wafanyakazi ni wengi kupita kiasi. Kwanza, hamna atakayefutwa kazi. Ikiwa wameajiriwa na ni wengi, si makosa yao ya kuwa ni wengi. Sharti ni letu sisi kuweza kuangalia wataenda katika department gani na gani na gani. Kama nilivyosema hapa mbeleni, ya kwa watu wa inspectorate tungependelea zaidi waende katika traffic management. Magari kile yakisonga kwa haraka zaidi itakuwa ni bora. Tuna wengine ambao tutawatoa katika department fulani, ikiwa wana uwezo tutawapeleka katika department kama ni fire. Hata ikiwa ni kubadili Mombasa iwe ni masaa 24, uchumi wa masaa 24, lazima tuwe na watu wengine watakaofanya kazi usiku. Kwa hivyo kama katika department na environment watu ni wengi, huwezi kuanza kusema utatoa, lakini utawapeleka usiku. Kisha ukaniuliza kama kuna wengine ni ghost workers. Ghost kwa Kiswahili itakuwa nini? Majini ama gushi? Magushi. Wafanyikazi hewa itakuwa ni air workers. Gushi, sio? Wafanyikazi gushi. For purposes of avoidance of doubt, kwanza, we will value our human resource. Yani tutatukuza wafanyikazi wetu. Katika hali kutukuza wafanyikazi wetu sio wale ambao kwamba ni gushi ama ni wale ambao tunaita ghost workers. Kwa hivyo kama kuna ghost workers tutaita ghostbusters, which I don't think, but for those who are there, kwa wale wafanyikazi walioko hapa, ni lazima tuangalie, na part of the issues that are there ni ikiwa kuna mambo ya promotion, tujue ni nani anastahiki kuweza kupatiwa promotion. Kama ninavyosema, sio unachukua engineer unampeleka agriculture, unachukua architect unaanza kumpeleka katika department ambayo kwamba hayupo. Yani kila moja aweze kuwekwa katika department ambayo kwamba anaofaa, na hao ni wale ambao kwamba ni ofisi, na hao wengine mnaozungumza wale ambao wanatusaidia katika zile kazi za traffic, kazi za environment. Ikiwa tunageuza Mombasa taratibu tuweze kufika, tuione ya kwa ile engine imeanza kuchemka na inaanza kutembeza kisawasawa. Baada hizi siku 100 tunataka kuanza kuona watu ya kwa wanaanza kufanya kazi, na sisi kama county tutakuwa katika mstari wa mbele kuweza kuyafanya mambo haya. Nadhani nimelijibu swali lako. Waonaje tujibu tupate wengine? Naam. Yes. Okay. These are not people who are going to be out of the county government. Like I said, the county government of Mombasa has some very, very, very excellent people who are working in the county government. There are some people who are in this county who, revenue collection has increased. It was not done by people who are necessarily from outside. It was done by the same people who are within the same county government. So what we have done is we have collected people based on various categories. But eventually, the idea is that we are going to have a Mombasa Revenue Service. The reason for having a Mombasa Revenue Service, it will be whose job will be nothing else except for purposes of coordinating and enhancing revenue collection. It will be registered as a county corporation. Like KRA is a state corporation, we'll have Mombasa Revenue Service as a county corporation whose role will be nothing else except to look at all the elements in terms of collection. Right now, the reason why we have to do these changes, I'll give you an example. It is very easy for someone, either they are already an employee or they could be a former employee. As long as they have a uniform, that the inspectorate, they can just go to any person and start saying that wapi permit hi, wapi hi, and we've already seen this happening. So to try and avoid and to make the lives of the people of Mombasa easy, these are the directions that we are going to take. So far, we are looking at about around 40 people, but eventually, of course, it is going to be a fully fledged county corporation. Why don't you allow your other colleagues, and then we allow you? Is there someone else? Good. Then we have you last. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. The Mombasa Revenue Services bill will actually be a bill that is going to have all these aspects in place. However, for purposes of revenue enhancement, the role of these teams is just for purposes of that enhancement. I want to equally state as well that we are working with the police as well. Security is vital, and it's extremely important. So once we have the Mombasa Revenue Services Bill, which we hope that will be passed by the County Assembly into an act, that element of enforcement as well will be there. You will realize that we did not call it a Mombasa Revenue Authority or Mombasa Revenue Force. It is a service. Yes. I think I answered that in my last, in the last press briefing. Do you want me to answer it again? Okay. You were not there? Okay. No, I state this. Constitutionally, every level of government has their mandate. And there are some things that it is important. First of all, we don't share a physical border. Mombasa County does not share a physical border with Uganda. So the only way that someone from Uganda will be able to reach up to Mombasa is by virtue of that person either getting a direct flight, or that flight has to pass through Mombasa, or maybe they pass through Malaba and then they come by car all the way. So it is important that once national government has issued necessary guidelines, and I'm confident that they will be able to put in the right measures at border points with Uganda. But I don't foresee a situation where we are right at the end. We don't want to but as a county government, yes, we are prepared.
Maybe the last one.
Maybe?
The Kenyan Ports Authority.
Yes.
Has today released a notice to
Mm.
ship.
I had already written to them, so I met the stakeholders on 20th of September. I met with Kenya Institute of Freight Forwarders and Warehousing Association. I met with the Transport Association. I met with all these groups that are dealing with the port, and we all agreed. And I'm going to be giving a copy of that letter to yourselves. It can be sent to you on soft copy. I wrote to the MD and I requested him that the only way that this can work without any bureaucracies is if they write to the shipping lines in the same manner. And I'm glad that that letter has been responded to, and they have done what needs to be done. So we expect a very, very huge economic boom for Mombasa, with the things that we are putting into place as a county government, the things that the national government is putting into place. We expect a huge boom. Executive orders cease upon the exit of an executive. So by law, those have already ceased upon the departure of the former governor. However, there's a new finance bill that is going to come up, and we are going to be open to discuss with everyone. Asanteni sana.